we do with our time, talent, and resources to support our community.
Respect one another, regardless of race, class, political affiliation, or faith.
Outreach, being a blessing to the community by extending a helping hand to others.
Value, the diversity each one of us brings, forging deeper connections.
Everyone, working together to become a better community to work, live, and play.
Willing to lend a hand, take initiative, and support other organizations to make an even greater impact.
Always ready to champion the greater good.
You are the missing ingredient in Groveway Community Group's recipe. Consider joining our efforts through donations and/or membership.
All right, let me say good evening or afternoon to you all. Can we put our hands together and just let's give God some praise in this place? And man, I'm excited about today. I am excited about today as we, the Pleasant Hill Church, are hosting the Groveway Community Group as they present Telling Our Story. My name is Pastor Saban Strickland, Pleasant Hills pastor here at church, and I'm just grateful to be a part of this wonderful, wonderful occasion. I promise you, you all, we are in for a spectacular treat. I'm excited about those who are in the house and, of course, those who are looking on and who are with us online today. Don't go anywhere. I promise you, you're going to be absolutely, positively blessed as we come together in a reflection of Black history and culture, some telling their personal experiences and just the history of Black history in general. And so we are excited. Again, we are honored to play host to the Groveway Community Group, President Gail Bohannon. And by the way, I want you all to know, I know this will come out, but Groveway is the oldest Black civic organization here in the city of Roswell. And so I believe it's fitting as they present to us telling our story. And so I'm going to call now Amitra Tipton, right? Amitra Tipton, who's going to come and preside over these proceedings, and she's going to moderate all that will transpire on today. Again, I'm excited about it. Thank you for coming out. Thank you all for being a part. I promise you're going to leave here encouraged and, I believe, informed. So let's welcome to the podium together with a warm, warm welcome to Amitra as she comes and shares with us. God bless you all. Thank you for being a part.
Thank you, Reverend Strickland. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Amitra Tipton, so I'm the chairperson over today's program, Telling Our Story. So we have something awesome in store for everyone, and I hope everyone is really looking forward to learning more not only about Black history in the city of Roswell, but Groveway as well. So with that being said, the first person that we have on our program to give us our proper greetings is Miss Cynthia Solomon. So please welcome her.
Good afternoon. I am Cynthia Solomon, Vice President of Groveway Community Group. We would like to say welcome to those of you that are here live and to those that are through our technology. We hope that our program, Telling Our Story, is one that will give you insight and information about the small black community Groveway group of Groveway community here in Roswell, Georgia. We are here at the oldest black church in Roswell, Pleasant Hill Church, Pleasant Hill Baptist Church, and we are glad and delighted to be here. We would like for you to sit back, relax, enjoy, and learn something new that you can go and have the did you know conversation with your family, your children, your friends, and your coworkers. Once again, thank you. And before I say welcome again, let me say that we would like to welcome some of our city council people from Roswell, Georgia, and any other special guests that we have. Once again, welcome, welcome, welcome.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dr. Robert James, and we're going to open up in a word of prayer. As we gather here today, preparing to hear our story as part of Roswell Roots, let's listen to this prayer often attributed to St. Francis of Assisi. It says, Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there's hatred, let me sow love. Where there's injury, pardon. Where there's doubt, faith. Where there's despair, hope. Where there's darkness, light. And where there's sadness, joy. So today, as a community of faith and a gathered community, both here in person and virtually, we ask God to hear our prayers and make us instruments of his peace. God, fill our hearts, all of us, with the fire of your love and with the desire to ensure justice, not just for some, but for all. God, we pray that today that you open up our ears as we listen to our stories and we continue to hear the cries of the weak, voiceless, abused, neglected, and often forgotten, so that we, while listening to their voice, we may help be a voice for them to help change our community. Help us as one community to begin to love our neighbors like we love ourselves. Help us to become the echoes of your compassion and your love. We pray all this in faith, according to my faith tradition. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you for that. And now we are going to have Mrs. Mary Robichaud, Georgia House of Representatives, here to read our proclamation for us. So let's welcome her.
So thank you, everyone, for having us here. Again, I'm Representative Mary Robichaud, have the honor and the distinct privilege of representing the part of the Groveway community. I have a pretty loud voice if I need to project more. Can everybody hear me in the back? Okay, sorry. I know when there's a mic, I'm a little bit. Gail and I have known each other for a few years. Amazing organization. And what I bring to you today is from the state of Georgia, House of Representatives. In actuality, Roswell has 4 representatives who represent our wonderful city, myself, Representative Josh McLaurin, Representative Chuck Martin, and Representative Jan Jones. And this is from all of us and from the entire 180 members of the representatives of the House, and also from our governor. So I'm going to read it. It's going to be a little bit. Recognizing and commending Groveway Community Group and the Telling Our Story program, and for other purposes. And there's going to be a lot of whereas from this point. Whereas the celebration of Black History Month began as Negro History Week in 1926 under the sponsorship of Dr. Carter Woodson. Its purposes was to honor the legacy of Black Americans in business, politics, education, and the arts. And whereas this celebration grew into a month-long event, and in 1976, President Gerald Ford officially recognized Black History Month, calling on the public to seize the opportunity to honor the too often neglected accomplishments of Black Americans in every area of endeavor throughout our history. And whereas the Groveway Community Group held its first public celebration of Black history in 1978 to honor the accomplishments and legacies of Black Roswell residents. And whereas the continued annual celebration by Groveway Community Group led the Historic and Cultural Affairs Division of the City of Roswell to establish Roswell Roots, a festival of Black history and culture in 2003. And whereas Groveway Community Group has served as part of the festival since its inception through planning, marketing, and sponsoring events, Telling Our Story has become a signature event during Black History Month. And whereas this event presents the firsthand memories of African Americans as they lived, worked, and played in Roswell, as well as the stories, lessons, and words of wisdom from current and past Roswell residents as they discuss their experiences growing up in this area. And whereas it is abundantly fitting and proper to recognize the Groveway Community Group and the Telling Our Story event for their many wonderful contributions on behalf of the citizens of Roswell. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the House of Representatives of the State of Georgia that the members of this body recognize and commend the Groveway Community Group and the Telling Our Story program and extend sincere best wishes for many more years of historical celebration. So, you want to come over here and take a picture? And I know that's formal, and I know we all agree. Groveway Community Group and Pleasant Hill and everyone here has done an amazing job, and that as we learn what all of our citizens in Roswell, the history, the lives, and how we've lived here, and we can learn from each other. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Erin Brown. I'm a member of Groveway Community Group, and I will be sharing the history. Groveway Community Group held its first public celebration of Black history in 1978. The first program was held in the West Wing of the then renamed Groveway Community Center, the North Fulton Human Services Building. Our first two programs recognized Roswell's oldest living Black citizens and their contributions to the community. These included Mamie Cotton, Dora Stafford, Maud Burse, Wes Phillips, and J.W. Price. Our annual programs continued, and we moved to the Roswell Cultural Arts Center. Groveway Community Group became the first Black organization to hold a program in the Cultural Arts Center. In 2003, the mayor and city council of Roswell, inspired by Groveway Community Group's annual Black History program, held the inaugural Roswell Roots Festival. Several Groveway community members served on the committees that presented 16 events throughout the month of February. Groveway members continue to serve on the city's committee. Member Sharon Crumley serves as the current chairperson. Our programs are well attended by the community and its elected officials, often bringing official greetings or reading proclamations recognizing Black history. Groveway participates in the Roots Festival by continuing its annual program and through a program called Telling Our Story. Our programs have been a mixture of plays, readings, musical tributes, and dance, all paying tribute to Black history. Many of our plays and performers have been local talent, but we have presented performers with wider favor as well. Telling Our Story began in 2008 and features longtime Roswell residents sharing their memories on life in Roswell. We've told the story of Roswell's first Black residents that suffered through enslavement. We've told the story of Roswell's Black residents as they rose to take positions in this community as freed men and women. We've told the story of Roswell's first Black achievers, those that paved the way for the rest of us to follow. The story of Bailey Johnson School and its 1964 basketball team, the story of integrating Roswell High School, the story of Pleasant Hill Historical Cemetery, the story of our churches, and the story of the Groveway community. We welcome you today as more of Roswell's Black history is shared with you. Thank you.
Thank you again, Erin. That was fantastic. I hope everyone can take away how rich the history of Groveway is here in Roswell. That was fantastic. So someone that I know is very excited to share more history with everyone, I had the opportunity to catch up with him earlier, and he is fired up, is Mr. Clarence Jones. So he's going to be our first speaker. Mr. Jones actually grew up in Northwest Atlanta and has lived in North Fulton County for over 30 years. Obviously, he is close as a member of the Groveway Community Group. He also spent more than a decade actually coaching Roswell Parks and Recreation for school-aged boys, basketball, and also for the teenage boys at United Methodist Church as well. So with that being said, let's give Mr. Jones a warm welcome. We're going to welcome him to the podium. He's going to educate us.
I'd like to thank the narrator. Can everybody hear me? For that wonderful introduction. I started thinking, is she really talking about me? But before I get started, are there any ancestors in the building that were in the stage of colonizing the city of Roswell? Can I just have a show of hands? Any ancestors from back during the time when the West was young, when Roswell hadn't even been in existence? I don't see anyone, so okay, we'll start this history lesson today. One of the major things that you have to understand about Roswell, Roswell initially was a part of the Cherokee Nation in this particular part of the state of Georgia, the Piedmont area. Now, the way Roswell got started and the way the story goes is that Roswell King was on his way to Dahlonega because there had been a gold strike, and he was a banker. So he was on the way to Dahlonega to set up a bank. But in the process of moving in that direction, he stumbled upon what they call Cedar Creek, which was at that time a part of Cherokee County, and now it's referred to as Vickery Creek. And that's where the city of Roswell first got its start. And what Roswell King had in mind for this area was that it was an excellent location for a cotton mill and to produce cotton, because at that time the cotton gin had come on the scene, so he saw an opportunity to make money. Now, in the process of what he had to do is established buildings. He established Roswell Mill, and then he had to invite other people to participate in the venture. And those people that he asked to come and help him in his venture was his first son, Barrington King. Then he asked Archibald Smith, which all of us know about the Smith plantation. Then it was James Stevens Bullitt. And you know, not far from here is the Bullitt plantation. And Barrington King, if you own Mimosa and you're facing down that street, you will see Barrington Hall. Now, a little to the left, kind of in between Barrington Hall and Bullitt Hall, was John Dunwoody's home. Initially, when the home was built, and the way the story goes, the house burned down. So everyone, we always ask, now, how did the house burn down? Back in that period, kitchens were not a part of the interior of a home. So they had a cookhouse back. So maybe, just maybe, some of the enslaved Africans may have just set the house on fire, and it burned down. But eventually it was rebuilt. Let me go on to Roswell King. Roswell King first, Roswell King was born on May the 3rd, 1765. He died February 15, 1894. At the age of 15, Roswell King migrated to Darien, Georgia, the low country. Do we have anyone in the house that have ancestors that are from the Gullah, Geechee culture? Well, Roswell King, initially, when he was in Darien, he started out as a surveyor. His next job was Justice of the Peace in McIntosh County. His third job, he was an overseer at the Butler Plantation, Pierce Butler Plantation, which was on Butler Island and St. Simon Islands. And Major Butler had 500 enslaved Africans. Now, I'm not going to use the term Africans Americans because at that time, they were never considered as being Americans. They were just Africans and enslaved Africans. And from there, that's when Roswell King became a banker. And that's how he migrated to this area, on the way to Dahlonega to set up a bank. And he fell in love with this beautiful country. Cedar Creek, which is now Vickery Creek, and the Chattahoochee River. And that's where he decided this would be a good area to set up that cotton mill. And he and Barrington King, that was their business venture. Now, how did he build that business? The business was built because he had to go back to Darien because he was also a plantation owner, and he owned 32 enslaved Africans. So he brought those people to this area, but before he left Darien, he purchased another 46 enslaved Africans. That's how, if you want to call Africans Americans, have their entrenchment into the Roswell community. They were brought here as laborers. They helped build, I believe the literature states that they helped build the majority of the homes that are on Mimosa, as well as they had some input into the building of First Presbyterian Church. And I would encourage anyone, take a stroll down Mimosa to learn the history of Roswell and visit First Presbyterian. That is a beautiful preserved structure. Now, in that whole activity of Roswell King, and he's setting up his mill, the enslaved Africans Americans, enslaved Africans, that was their major input. And it goes back to the 1830s. So we have to understand the history and the contributions that those enslaved Africans made to this community. And you just got the reading on how and the contributions that Groveway Community Group has made to this community. In 1844, Roswell King passed away, but his legacy and the legacy of all of those enslaved Africans, it still lives on. It lives on today. Can I have one more second? I would like to encourage people to do one thing. Encourage your children to learn the history of Roswell, and then expand into Georgia history, because Georgia was one of the last 13 colonies. And when Georgia came on as a colony under the English control, it was not a slave-holding state, colony rather. It was not. And we have to understand that. In the low country, where cotton and rice was the chief money crop of the world, that's how slavery got its start. The initial colonists of Roswell, they were totally against that. But read up from slavery, slavery to freedom, what did I have? The ratification of, bear with me a moment. Okay. The ratification of the Reconstruction Amendments, the 14th Amendments, Uncle Tom's Cabin, Amazing Grace, and poems about slavery, the history of Thomas Jefferson, that was one of the founding members of this country, where you can get a better understanding of how this country developed. And our children need to know these things. I'm done.
I told y'all he had a lesson. He's an educator. Can you tell? All right, give it up for Mr. Jones again, seriously. You can tell how passionate he is about history. I'd encourage anybody that's here in person, if you want to pick his brain after the program, do so. He has a lot of knowledge. All right, with that being said, we are about to get things jumping a little bit. We got a medley of songs coming from Mr. Jarvis Wilson. Give him a hand. Jarvis, you are the truth. Give it up for Jarvis again. Okay, now you guys can see we have the 2 stars of the day sitting up front with us here. So we are going to get into the Telling Our Story segment of today's program. So we have Miss Ann Strickland. Miss Strickland, can you give everybody a nice wave? You look fabulous today. And we have Miss Renee Knuckles. All right, so the way that we're going to run it today, I am going to ask these lovely ladies a series of questions, and that's how we're going to get to know a little bit more about them. I know I did an intro for our previous speaker, but I don't want to give too much away. So I'm going to let them tell their story. All right, so can we start with your name and where you're from? Ms. Strickland, do you want to kick us off? Should I move closer to you? Okay.
My technician.
I got some assistants up here. So we want to start by, you just can state your name for the audience today.
Annie Strickland.
Annie Strickland. All right, and where are you from, Annie?
I'm from Roswell, Georgia.
All right, you're from Roswell, Georgia. How long have you been in Roswell?
70-something years.
Does anybody have her beat? No, nobody has her beat? Okay. And then as far as the 70 years that you've been in Roswell, I'm just curious, have you lived anywhere else?
Yes.
Can you tell me?
Yes. I was born and raised in Atlanta, Georgia, born in Grady Hospital, and I stayed there for a long, long time. And then I had 2 cousins that came to Atlanta to stay, to go to school, and that's where I met them and came up here to Roswell, Georgia. Okay, I went to Washington High School in Atlanta. And when I came up to Roswell, Georgia, really there wasn't anything here that we as black could attend, nothing but the grocery store. And so when I came up here to Roswell, Georgia, I came twice. Once nothing happened. And the next time when I came, I got in love or fell in love or whatever you want to call it.
Oh.
And Joseph H. Strickland, he had just got out of the Army, and Lord have mercy, he was so handsome. So when I married him, I married into a historical family, which Miss Mamie Cotton, well, she stayed on what you call the plantation, and she was my sister-in-law. And it was 10 children altogether. I can't name them all right now, but anyway, we all got along pretty good. But somehow, some way, I was getting a little bit of wanting to be to myself and my husband and raise my kids. So that's when we bought us a little house. So wasn't anything, like I said, here in Roswell, Georgia, for us. Because I came from Atlanta, I could go to the show and to the park and, other places that we blacks could go to. But we know where to go and how to protect ourselves. So when I came to Roswell, like I said, I couldn't understand. It was a show right here on Canton Street, right by us, and we still couldn't go unless you're going to clean it up or something like that. So what happened is, long story short, what happened, we formed what you call the Women's Club. That's, I guess maybe about 60 years or something. Okay, so Gail would know about this because her mother was in it too. And what we did in that club, we saved money. We saved money for Christmas, and we got it out to buy presents and so forth. And then we would go places, where there was no integration or whatever, That's why we formed the Christmas Club with women. And after that, we just continued. And Groveway Community Group always was a part of us, because at one time, I was the vice president of the Groveway, and Mr. Sudi was the president. I always would call him Mr. Sudi. And you know what happened? Anytime they would hear somebody having a birthday, anything, to get us together, and they would have us there at their house, Mr. Sudi and Miss Dorothy and Mr. Fat Knuckles. They would have something all the time. We had somewhere to go. And after a while, by and by, there was a cafe, Doc's Cafe. And we would go and we would eat and we would dance. We would have a good time there. And of course, Miss Martin she had a little cafe too. That was Miss Doc's wife. So that's how we had fun. And it didn't bother me at all about racism or whatever. It didn't. Because when I was coming up, they used to call me Little Yellow Gal anyway, so I was part of it anyway. The white race and the black race too. So I guess the reason why, I don't mean to get out of order here, but I guess the reason why I am the color that I am, because we was all mixed back in the day. Back in the day, it was mixed. So I'm proud of myself right now, because we accomplished a whole lot here in Roswell, Georgia. I worked domestic jobs to earn money to help my husband build our house. And we raised 5 children. And they didn't really get into the segregation part, because for long, they was bussed up to Alpharetta, to Bailey Johnson. They didn't go to Atlanta. They wasn't bused there. But I know it was a few people here, and I think of Miss Washington and who else? Maisie Strickland. They was bused to Atlanta because they was going to further their education, which they did, and I'm very proud of that. But in Bailey Johnson, we had a basketball team that would whoop the people that come to play with them. And I guess I better not call names, because when you call names, you forget somebody, and then they'll say, well, why didn't you call me, So anyway, I'm going to call one of them, and that's Leroy Grogan. And now he was the star, really, because reason why they were so good, because we had a basketball in our backyard, and they was always playing basketball. So this is why, and I believe he would have went on. He would have been really a professional, because they knew how to throw it over here and throw it over there, and they would, eye one another, and that's the reason why they could win. I call that partnership and teamwork, and that's why we have to do that in this world right now. We need teamwork. Together we stand, divided we fall. So I think, in a sense, we are falling. We are falling by the wayside, because, reason why I said that, I know you didn't mean for me to say all this, but anyway, because the church right now need to get stronger in prayer and bring us all together. We don't need to be, that's one thing that we're segregated in, and that's the churches. It's a white church over here, it's a black church over there, it's a Hispanic over there, it's a this or that or whatever. We are separated. So, what God is trying to do to us right now, today, is to bring us back to Him together. Like I said, together we stand, divided we fall.
Amen.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. That's Annie Elizabeth Strickland. Thank you so much, Ms. Strickland. That was awesome. Give it up for her again, guys, seriously. All right, we're gonna move on to Miss Renee Knuckles. Now, I know you've been in Roswell a long time. I don't know if you've hit the 70-year mark.
I'm close.
You close? Let them know. How long you been in Roswell?
67 years.
Okay, she's on the cusp of 70. Give them a little bit of your history.
Okay. I'm like Miss Ann, I'm a Grady baby, and my parents were Alexander and Dorothy Knuckles, and they were very, very active within the city councils. Anything going on in the city of Roswell, my father was a part of it, and my grandfather. Let's see when I want to start. I have a question. What was it like growing up in Roswell? It was just, I had no problems with anybody, and I loved everybody just like my dad. And my daddy said, if you don't love people, they're not going to love you. And I'm like, okay, I guess I have to start loving these folk. Outside of my family in the Roswell community, look like culturally, economically, and socially. Times were hard when I was growing up, but I didn't have sense enough to know that it was hard because I didn't have no job. I didn't have a job. I was just a little girl. But I will say that I was born at Grady Hospital, and I did some research on my biological mother. It wasn't very nice, but I'm here, thank God. And my mother kept hounding my daddy. She wanted a baby, she wanted a baby, she wanted a baby. So they came and got me. And when I got like 6 or 7, I was ready to run back to Atlanta. But I stayed because I couldn't outrun my daddy. I didn't have any racial problems with, the color barrier thing. I didn't have any problems with the integration. In fact, I was trying to escape Roswell. I can't leave. I'm stuck. But it's a nice place to be. And once you get to know your neighbors, it's heartwarming, and because you never know who you're living next door to. I had some people to move in next door to me. And one day I said, and I like to bake cakes. And I baked them a cake, and I said, here's your welcoming present. They said, for us? Yes, for you. So I gave him the cake, and I went back home. And about 3 weeks later, he brought my cake carrier back. I'm like, okay, I'll get you another one. And do you all know when I got ready to take another cake, they started falling. I just said, oh, well, I can't do it now. My parents were busy with the Boy Scouts, and they formed Troop 206. My grandfather was the first African American to receive the Silver Beaver Award. That's the highest honor that you can receive in the Boy Scouts of America. My father was next. My mother received a Silver Beaver, and let's see, I'm not sure. I want to say Mr. Allen, Alonzo Allen, received one also, but I'm not sure. And I'm going to end it with this. And when I was a little girl, I was like 5 years old. And my grandfather was a carpenter, so he helped people, the Negro race, build houses around here so we'd have shelter. Well, he came in early for work one day, and he says, Renee, I said, sir, he says, come go with me, I want to show you something. I said, okay. He says, come on. So we went to the back porch because the light bulb had burned out. And he says, I said, well, why you got me out here? I can't change a light bulb. He said, no, you can't change a light bulb. He said, but you might marry somebody that can't and don't know how to fix anything. I said, okay, all right, thank you. And you all know that stuck with me, and I can fix just about anything now, except a man. And thank you all very much. Am I dismissed?
Thank you, Miss Renee.
Okay, I guess I'm the comedian for the afternoon.
I was gonna say, she brought the jokes, but you guys can tell. Give it up for her again. Her history in Roswell runs deep, and her family has done a lot for the community. Okay, now we are going to actually have another speaker presented to us virtually. So everyone, of course, couldn't show up and be present with us in person, but we are going to present a video of Mr. Jermaine Phillips. I'm going to read through a few points about Jermaine Phillips, and then we're going to actually cue the video. So he is actually originally from Kentucky, but lived in Roswell for over 30 years. And like most of our speakers today, his lineage has deep roots in Roswell in the form of his grandparents and great-grandparents. He was very active in sports, so for you guys that have been here for a while, you may be familiar with him. He graduated from Roswell High School and the University of Georgia. Go Bulldogs. Actually played for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and he is a Super Bowl winner. He's in Tampa, Florida. That's why he couldn't be here, y'all, but let's show love for his video.
Hey, my name is Jermaine Phillips. I'm from Roswell, Georgia. You know what I mean? Born in Kentucky, but I'm from Roswell, Georgia. What was it like growing up in Roswell? Growing up in Roswell, it was like a community. You know how they say that it takes a village. And I really felt that growing up as a kid in Roswell. I was, you know, in Millbrooks. You know, I stayed in Fraser Street. You know, enjoyed my time on the Hill, or, you know, Zion Circle as a kid. It was just, you know, where you saw the people who looked like you, and the people that you could relate to. And when it came down to it was the people that showed you the most love and wanted to help you to develop into the best human being and the best man that you could be. There was nothing like it. You know, I mean, yeah, it might have felt like, you look back on it, it's like, you know what, hey man, those maybe not have been the best conditions or whatever, but as a kid and growing up, you never felt like you had less or that you didn't have everything that you need. And, you know, the value of family and community was something that was definitely instilled in me at a young age. Outside of family, what did the Roswell community look like, culturally, economically, socially? You definitely had your divisions. You know, when it came down to it, like me, the white people that I dealt with was always at school, and I'm very nice and have a lot of good white friends now. But when it came down to it, sports for me is what bridged that gap and helped me to be accepted one way or the other. Not to say that they were looking at me one way or the other or looked at me as less than, but sports was something that we had in common and something that, you know, we could relate upon, and something that helped flourish and grew a relationship. I mean, especially with my state basketball team, like all those guys right there, they are like family. They are brothers. You know, it was a couple of us, a couple of black guys and a lot of white guys, but at the same time, man, we all bleed red. You know what I mean? And there's count on these guys right now to this day, if need be. What's my family's lineage in Roswell? You know, my family is on Millbrooks, grew up in Millbrooks. I guess my dad and my grandmother back in the day. Old Roswell High School, you know, that's where they went, and I so badly wanted to be able to attend there because I just, you know, enjoyed going to the games. Like even though I was Fraser Street, you know, we used to jump the fence over there and go to the high school games. It's just something that's always been special to my heart when it comes down to it. Like it's been a big part of me. You know, like so much family that I have, and growing up, some of the family that I didn't even know that I had was family, and I just didn't know it. So just the way it was. Let's see what other questions on here. Did you encounter any racial encounters in Roswell? I mean, of course. Dealing with, kids younger, we don't look alike, and being the only black kid in a lot of classes was something that was definitely different, but I didn't know any better because I thought it was the way it was supposed to be. But also growing up, being pulled over by the police for no reason, or, especially one incident, I'll tell you, when I was in high school, dropping a friend off in Alpharetta, got off of State Bridge on the 400, heading back towards Hogan Bridge, heading home. As soon as I get on the highway, I get pulled over. Cop says, "I pulled you over for going too slow in the fast lane." I mean, I didn't even have a chance to really build up my speed one way or the other, but still getting pulled over for going too slow in the fast lane. And he pulls me over, and then he asks me, do you know anything about any robberies and all this stuff going on in the area? As he's like, has his flashlight going through my car and this, that, and the other. And I was like, no, sir. Because, you just felt like, the police were not somebody who was on your side at the time. But at the same time, he's like, you know what? I just want them to leave me alone and get home. And, you just shrugged it off. You know what I mean? It's why I tell my son and teach my sons now, the most important thing is to get home. Your friends might not look like you. They might do things different than you do. But your objective, no matter what, when it's coming to authority, is to get home. Get home, tell me about it, and we'll go from there to rectify it. See, what was it like playing sports in Roswell? Playing sports in Roswell for me was everything. It's what my dad, my uncles, aunt did. So being a part of that Roswell sports legacy is great for me. Being part of the Roswell High School Hall of Fame is a great honor. It's what I love. It's a place that when I was playing sports, it was a place where I felt like I felt like I was the equal no matter what, no matter how. You know what I mean? It was just, hey, I was out there doing something I love. And then when it all came down to it, even to this day, there's been people who told me that they follow my career. It's been a lot of people, especially back in the day, they enjoyed me playing basketball and knew me for that more than football. It was great, even the fight to get out of my dad and my uncle's shadow was an awesome thing. Playing sports in Roswell is great. Because the sense of community when it comes together for their sports teams was just something that was unseen. Especially winning a state championship in basketball, and this amount of support that we had down there, black, white, just everybody, the whole city coming together was just a special thing. And at that time right there, I knew what sports could do to bring a community together, and I just wanted to be a part of that, and that was just awesome, speechless. How has Roswell influenced my life today? Like I say it all the time with my group of friends that we all pretty much came from Roswell. Anybody I know is like, man, being from where we're from, we were raised different. We're a different breed. You're good people. Like to the core, like we're good people. I'm not saying that we're perfect, not saying that we're better than anybody else, but when it comes down to it, man, it's just something different about us that makes us special. So being from Roswell is definitely an honor. When it comes down to it, I was like, yeah, I'm from Atlanta. I was like, no, but I'm from outside of Atlanta. I'm from Roswell. Great town. I was like, no, not with the aliens and all that stuff, the UFOs. Like, I'm from a great city in Roswell. It's like a place that you would love to raise your kids, and there's no better place to be raised. Any people during your time in Roswell that have a lasting impact on your life? Definitely. Miss Washington, who recently passed, was like a mother, like another mother to me. Just the love, grace that she showed. She was the example of what I felt like Jesus was in his time. That's to me. That's just how in high regard I hold her, and the way that she carried herself, and the example that she set for me. It showed me the power of prayer and just love, and it was, I can't put into words how great she is, and how her memories and her laugh and all that stuff, and the love that she showed me, how much it inspires me today. Also, Coach Manus. Coach Manus, my high school coach at Roswell, who coached my dad, coached my uncle. So I know him kind of growing up. But even to this day, man, like if I'm going through something tough, hard, he's been there. You know, not to say that others haven't, and not to say that, you know, I mean, the list could go on, but I'm just gonna name those two people. But Coach Manus is definitely a man that, you know, loves the man. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I did a lot of things as far as sports goes, but when it come down to it, he loved the man that I was, the man that I was becoming, and he had a big hand in that. And he definitely planted seeds that now he's getting to see harvest. You know what I mean? So I definitely appreciate both of them. Any people during your time in Roswell who have a lasting impact on your life, you know, still have to go back to those two, besides, you know, family, you know what I mean, and friends. You know what I mean? Definitely Reverend Lewis at the time as well. Just a lot of people in there that I can name, and the list could go on and on and on. And I'm sure I wouldn't be able to name everybody. You know what I mean? There's a lot of prayers that I know that I received and that I got that, you know, I didn't know where they were coming from. But when it comes down to it, I know that, you know, a lot of prayers came down from my people on the Hill, and, you know, my people in Millbrooks, and my people in Webb Street, and just, you know, all over through the city. You know what I mean? Like, I just greatly appreciate the hand that everybody had, and just helped me become the man that I am. You know what I mean? Roswell is a great place. There's nothing like it. I know it's changing now, but when it comes down to it, the core, you know, which is, seems like they're trying to wipe it out, but it's still there. When it comes down to it, Roswell will always be with me, because it's something I carry with me everywhere I go. It's something I live every day. And the influence and the way the city embraced me and took me on and helped raise me is something that I live every day. You know what I mean? You know, I am Roswell. Thank you.
Peace, Pleasant Hill. It's been an honor to be here with you guys. I actually am happy to see so many faces. I actually grew up in this church, and it's an honor to be back to bring some African traditions with you guys with this group called the St. Conscious Drummers. And the first number that we're going to play for you guys is called Manjani. Manjani is a West African dance. So this song will be played for celebrations when it came to weddings. It could be a birth. It could even be a homegoing. You could play this song, and it was meant to uplift people's spirits regardless of the situation. And actually, there's a dance that goes to it. We're not going to dance to it, but we're going to play you guys the song. So I hope you enjoy.
Greetings. May I have permission from my elders to continue to speak? Greetings. I am Amun Shomi Day, one of the drummers as well as dancers of St. Conscious, a percussion and ensemble. The next song we're going to play for you is Cuckoo. Cuckoo is a traditional song of the Susu people in Guinea. It is also played for when the women have a good and great harvest from fishing. So we're going to have a little dance as well as some drumming to the song Susu. Cuckoo, excuse me. I hope you all enjoy.
I certainly want to put our hands together again, and let's thank them for sharing and giving us a taste of Africa here in Roswell, Georgia. Well, man, I stand before you today. I'm certainly happy to be a part of all that is transpiring in terms of telling our story. I'm here to share with you quickly a history, just in a snapshot, too much, of course, to go into great details, so I won't be exhaustive or anything like that on this afternoon, but kind of giving you a snapshot of the history of Pleasant Hill Church and the Pleasant Hill Cemetery, which would be better coined as a kind of a Pleasant Hill community cemetery, for it houses both people from the Pleasant Hill Church and the Zion Missionary Baptist Church. At one time, there was only one black church in Roswell, and that was, of course, the Pleasant Hill Church. And out of Pleasant Hill Missionary Baptist Church came the Zion Missionary Baptist Church, and, of course, I believe that Pleasant Hill has certainly given birth to a number, if will, a number of ministries, a number of churches. But we thank God for the history, if will, of Pleasant Hill. And so that's my task before us. And so without further ado, let me share simply like this. Historically speaking, Pleasant Hill Church has been around for just as long as the city of Roswell itself. Mr. Clarence Jones came up and he shared with us kind of a history of Roswell, and he shared with you that it was founded by Roswell King, founded in the year 1839. Again, when Roswell King was making his way to Dahlonega, stops here in Roswell, says, I want to establish some stuff. That was 1839. And then Pleasant Hill, now I want to try to give you this parallel. Pleasant Hill was founded by two Negro slaves in 1847. Two brothers, Burl and Alec Hembry. Now, Roswell, the city, did not officially become a city, that is to get its charter, until 1854. So founded 1839, but not officially receiving its charter till 1854. Pleasant Hill officially laid its cornerstone in 1855. And so whenever land was secured for both the church and the cemetery. And you'll note that even before Roswell became an actual city there, Pleasant Hill Church, man, we started off there in what was called the town of Lebanon. And you'll note where this is. It's right there at the juncture of Alpharetta Highway and Holcomb Bridge Road. Alpharetta Highway and Holcomb Bridge Road, you'll see what used to be called the Old Roswell Mall. I think there is a flooring place there now. It's where Chick-fil-A is housed in that parking lot, and right behind there you'll find the Pleasant Hill Historic Cemetery. That's where it is. And so certainly you can take a visit there, and you will see that historic cemetery, right? Again, that it lays to rest both members of Pleasant Hill and Zion and folks in and throughout the Roswell, Groveway, Zion, and the Oxbow communities, all right? And so it's kind of a community cemetery for those who were of black descent, right? African-American descent. And so, again, what I wanted to share with you really quickly was the 1847 establishment, if will, founding of the Pleasant Hill Church, the 1855 laying of its cornerstone. Now, what's so significant about that is that in 1847, if you notice that 1847 date, it places Pleasant Hill's establishment during what is called the Great Awakenings of the mid-1800s. All right, mid-1800s, y'all. Mid-1800s, you got to understand, when historically black churches were paramount in the spiritual, socioeconomic, educational, and cultural, along with communal development of black life and living. And despite, y'all, the fact that the dehumanizing establishment, if will, of slavery was still in place, and of course it was still operational. It is said that the church stood as a beacon light of hope in the midst of those troubled times. The church, y'all, was quite socially conscious, encouraging outreach throughout the Negro community. This strong sense of community was demonstrated best in how each member looked to the needs of others. I mean, I got to reiterate that. The church looked out for the needs of others, right? Looked to the needs of others. Even beyond the Negro community of that day, y'all, the church, Pleasant Hill, was always welcoming to white Christians, who would worship with them, if will, from time to time. You know, by the time the 1900s rolled around, the congregation continued to grow, and despite the Depression years, it continued to train, and this is significant, it continued to train and teach members through Sunday school and what we call Baptist Training Union, BTU. Mother Strickland mentioned that, you know, when it comes to education, a number of us had to be shipped, if will, or transported to Atlanta, Washington High, and that kind of thing until Bailey Johnson comes along. But I want you to know that ever before there was a Bailey Johnson and that kind of thing, you know, the church, y'all, took on the responsibility of educating, took on the responsibility of teaching young ones to read through Sunday school and through what we call Baptist Training Union. You know, I gave my first public, if will, speech and all of that kind of stuff during Sunday school and BTU, and learned decorum and etiquette and all that good stuff. And so I just want us to understand the significance of the impact and presence of the church. Pleasant Hill Missionary Baptist Church was one of many churches that stood on the front lines in the struggle of what it meant to be black and Christian in the midst of a society when the reality of black people was defined by exclusion and inequity or inequality. One of the great thinkers of our time, a black man by the name of Richard White, I'm serious, he's a wonderful intellect, contends that expression is born out of environment. Expression is born out of environment. If there is any validity to Wright's statement, then one may well conclude that black churches like Pleasant Hill and Zion were somehow, y'all, they effectively and systematically navigated the terrain of their environment and somehow explicated the significance of black existence through the Word of God. And so here it is. I can wrap up like this. The significance of black churches like Pleasant Hill and Zion is that they were more than religious institutions forging the way for black communities and black people alike. You understand, James Cone, the late James Cone, put it this way, and I love the way he said it, and I echo it. The black church taught me, Pleasant Hill Church, Zion, black church taught me how to deal with the contradictions of life and provided a way to create meaning in a society not of my own making. It discipled and disciplined me at an early age and gave me the perspective on life that black existence cannot, indeed must not, be taken for granted. I thank God for a church like Pleasant Hill Church, who in 1847, two Negro slaves got together and said that I ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. I'm going to keep on walking. Y'all, I'm going to keep on talking. Marching up to freedom land. Let's give God some praise for churches like this. And we thank God for this opportunity just to share a snapshot of the establishment of Pleasant Hill Church and the Pleasant Hill Cemetery. Thank you.
Give Reverend Strickland another hand, please. More awesome history. I hope everyone has really enjoyed the program. Obviously, we are going to close with the president of Groveway, Gail Bohannon. Please welcome her.
Good evening, everyone, especially those that have taken the time out of their busy afternoon to come and sit and listen and enjoy rich history, because I do realize that everybody has a story to tell. It might not look like your story, but everybody has a story to tell, and I can honestly say I am a proud Roswellian, and I'm still in the house just a couple of doors down from Pleasant Hill. I'm still there, born there. My mom didn't have time to go to Grady, so I was in a hurry, and that's what they say now. I'm still in a hurry. So, but anyway, with that being said, I just want to thank all of you all, especially my friend Mary Robichaud and the two council people, Christine Hall and, no, did I get the name right? Okay, and Lee Hill for coming out today to listen to our story and be a part of our rich history, and also to my awesome, awesome committee telling our story. Thank you. And Mitra kind of got pushed into being the chair, I think. And to Reverend Strickland and his awesome, awesome video people, I don't know what you call them, technology, whatever you want to call them, thank you for getting us on time and making sure we got all our T's crossed and I's dotted. And to all of you that participated, my pastor, Reverend James, thank you for coming and leading us off. And I truly want to say that going forward in 2022, as Reverend Strickland has said, we are going to be more of a unified community in Roswell. Starting off with the churches, we can be a unified, we all love God, so God is not a different person, and maybe you don't love God, but if you don't, get to know him. So anyway, I'm going to say that we are going to be working together, and you're going to see more of us participating in things. And if you haven't gone out to see any other programs that Roswell Roots has, please do so. There are a few programs that are left. So please go out and see them. And if you would like to join the Roots Committee, Steering Committee, please see me, because they are looking for some people for our 2023 program. And all I can say is thank you, thank you, thank you for your time, your talents. And we also have a display, small display outside, and also a donation box, because I know this was a fine program, so I know you would like to contribute. And you can also go to our website. I'm going to do in the pastor's part now. There's two ways to give. PayPal on the website, and if you're here, you can stop by right there and make a donation to keep these programs going and the ongoing of all Groveway's endeavors. Thank you again. And as I end, we have a slideshow that's going to, oh, I'm sorry, we did have a slideshow. So go on the website. The slideshow will be there soon. Thank you all for coming, and have a good evening.